Good to see that those clapping lessons really paid off. It's Friday, so you know what that means. Let's welcome tonight's guest. He gets sunburned when he opens the refrigerator. Fox News contributor Tom Shalhoub. Democrats hate him because they can't indoctrinate him. Host of the Grift Report, Hotep Jesus. He's never on the fence because he talks common sense. Comedian Vince August. And finally, her safe word is lens crafters. Host of Kennedy Saves the World podcast, Kennedy. All right. Watch. All right, before we get to some news stories, let's do this.
Greg's Leftovers.
I did read some of them. It's Leftovers, where I read the jokes we didn't use this week, and as always, it's my first time reading them. So if they suck, we'll put honey in Joe Mackey's underwear and send him to wake up hibernating bears. An upcoming book claims that Kamala Harris's aides were fully prepared for Joe Biden to die while in office. They just disagreed on where to have the party. A 106-year-old woman is complaining that every time she flies, the airline worker asks her to prove her age. She replies by saying she was once Speaker of the House. In response to upcoming tariffs, Canadian Premier Doug Ford vowed to, quote, inflict as much pain as possible on Americans. So I guess we should expect a new Nickelback album coming out. I love Nickelback. An Asian man named Paul Hyon Kim was arrested by the Vegas PD for setting fire to 5 Teslas. He probably would have done more damage by driving them.
Oh, racist would say.
That joke goes out to NPR. In Germany, a 66-year-old woman gave birth to her 10th child.
Hot.
I know, she should have just stopped at 9! 9! Ah, a few of us can speak German. Don't salute. Kermit the Frog is going to deliver the commencement address at the University of Maryland. His message for career success? Always have a guy's hand up your ass. Kennedy agrees.
2 thumbs up.
Bill Gates said that within 10 years, thanks to artificial intelligence, humans won't be necessary for most things. Well, I was ahead of my time, said one guy. A 350-pound teacher was arrested for using a kid as a stepping stool during a safety drill. In the teacher's defense, the kid identified as one. But it's nice to see a teacher using a student for something besides sex. To step up. That came from here. The latest fashion trend for women is to wear dresses and gowns that show off their butt crack. Fashionistas credit the revealing new look to a daring new fashion designer. Business magazine Fast Company listed the WNBA as one of the top 5 innovative companies, despite it not turning a profit in 30 years. Wow, who did they beat out? The Casey Anthony Daycare Center? This week, a biotech startup got FDA approval to develop a drug to make dogs live longer, guaranteeing at least another season of one of our favorite shows. So, you see, you kids. The Olympic track and field governing body announced it will perform tests on female athletes to make sure that they are biological women. So what's the test? Well, the judge will ask them to tell a story with only the relevant details. And if they can do that, they're not a woman.
A sexist would say.
Italian model Vittoria Soretti says it's annoying when people call her Leonardo DiCaprio's girlfriend. Well, fortunately, at age 26, all she needs to do is wait a few weeks. A man on board a Delta flight had to be restrained after biting and hitting the other passengers. He's now facing 2 counts of impersonating a Spirit Airlines passenger. Doctors say that abstaining from sex for too long can make you irritable. Well, what the hell is that supposed to mean? Scientists discovered that unattractive men are more likely to be better lovers. Here's the lead scientist. And finally, Maxine Waters suggested that Donald Trump should consider deporting his wife. Not fair. What about mine, said one man. All right. Speaking of, let's do a monologue. So, who killed the legacy media? Well, it turns out it was a mass suicide, and Joe Biden was their Jim Jones. Ooh. According to excerpts from an upcoming book obtained by The Guardian, Democratic officials were drawing up plans to replace Biden as early as January of 2023 in the event he no longer had the ability to run. And by that, they mean dead. In Fight, Inside the Wildest Battle for the White House, authors Jonathan Allen and Amy Parnes claim that aides to Kamala Harris, quote, strategized around the possibility that Biden might die in office. And apparently Kamala's comms director went so far as to write a death pool roster of federal judges who might swear her in if Biden indeed kicked the bucket. They also had a team of coroners standing by who could list Joe's time of death as something besides who the knows. Could have been 2017, 2011. Who's counting, really? The authors also detail other instances of Joe falling apart during the campaign. At a donor's reception just days after the disastrous presidential debate, Biden aides put fluorescent tape on the carpet to show the president where to walk. It's similar to how Bill Clinton's team laid out a path using copies of Hustler magazine. Biden was often tailed by staffers since he did have a tendency to, wander off. I bet they likely had another team nearby ready to make a chalk outline. According to one veteran operative, nobody was crazy about running Kamala for president either, but, quote, at least she had a pulse. I know, talk about a low bar, where, judging by her own behavior, she pulled up a stool and started doing shots. So at the same time that the White House and their mouthpieces like Joe Scarborough were telling the world Biden was more vigorous than ever, they were planning for his imminent demise. But you can't blame Scarborough for getting it wrong. He's had years of Mika saying he's the best she ever had. Dark. Of course, the media seems shocked by this news. But shocking to whom? None of this is surprising to anyone who, unlike Joe, had a brain. Not to pat our own backs, but we've been telling you this all along. This guy's skull is emptier than a theater showing Snow White. And we were all smeared for speaking the truth that was clearly on display for years. And now these same jackasses are telling us that the Signal app story is a grave concern when they hid the fact that Biden was literally a concern for the grave. A little turnabout in language. All right, I liked it. There has to be a penalty for this cover-up. The scandal isn't that they elected a vegetable, it's that journalists knew it and refused to act like journalists even as the facts got worse. And that penalty should be a complete loss of credibility, not just now, but forever. The rest of us, from Trump on down to his supporters, have earned a free punch. Meaning every time they shout scandal, we get to hit them with ridicule. I mean, you expect us to care about some group chat regarding a successful strike against terrorists after gaslighting us about a senile old man for 4 years? You. It was far more dangerous to give President Biden classified info every single damn day. So what do you have to say for yourself, Mr. Ex-President?
No. Look, I know they wanted to get rid of me. They were trying to push me out, but I wanted to stay. You know, I may not be sharp as a tack, Jack, but she's dull as a, I don't know, something dull. And I would have done better, you know. Wouldn't you rather vote for your grandpa than your crazy wine aunt? Yeah. I wasn't even that old back then either. I mean, when I was president, I'm old now. I feel it now. These days, I wake up 3 times to pee at night. And 2 of those times, I get out of bed.
Tom, you were there early, at the earliest. When no one else would do an impersonation of Joe Biden, you actually laid the path for his ensuing decline. You actually had to stay 10 steps ahead of him because he was getting bad so quickly.
Yeah, that's why it's great to bring him back, you know. There's a new spring in his step somehow.
Yes.
But, you know, the amazing thing about this is that now you see this story playing out in the media, and everyone in the media is acting as if this is an indictment of Kamala. This is exculpatory. We would expect them to have a plan in place for when he, died, because we could see he was, teetering on the edge at any given moment. That would have been irresponsible of them if they didn't plan this. The people who wrote this book, the 2 authors, a man and a woman, the guy, he works for NBC News. She works for The Hill. This is a story about media malfeasance. Yes. And they're writing the story now. Can you believe what a scandal this is? It's a media scandal. Yeah. But they're acting as if it's a Kamala scandal. That's the one thing they did right, was have a plan in case he kicked off.
This is why, Hotep, I cannot listen to the Signal story. It's not hitting me because it is about the people creating the news. Tom's right. The scandal isn't about Joe or Kamala. It's about them.
Well, the media's been bad for a really long time. This isn't new, right? But I disagree, Tom. I think this is an indictment against Kamala. She came out here and lied to us, okay? She was on The View. They asked her, they said, Kamala, what would you have done different? And she didn't have an answer. They came out and they asked her, what do you think of Biden's cognitive decline? And she said, oh, yeah, he's doing fine. Now, I knew he wasn't doing fine. The audience knew he wasn't doing fine. Your baby wasn't even here yet. She knew he wasn't doing fine. So when she came out and said he was doing fine, we knew she was a liar. And we knew at that point, American people were like, we cannot vote for her. We know politicians lie, but damn, at least tell a lie that we could believe.
Yes.
But at the same time, think about how great it must have been to be Joe Biden and wake up every day and find out you're the president like it's the first time. I mean, every day was election day for that man. And
do you think they're still probably telling him he's president?
I mean, this is but there was a period of like 11 days where I thought he was dead.
Yes.
Remember? Like he was gone, and I'm like, I think he's dead.
Yeah.
And so like this isn't really a story.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what made you tipped you off? What, the time he fell up the stairs, fell off the bike, walked around stage like a Roomba? Like at what point was this a story that? And of course, they had a contingency plan for this guy. Mm-hmm. Day one, they had a contingency plan, and the media was like, no, this is our guy. He was never your guy.
Yeah.
Never. He was a last option.
Mm-hmm. They went with the old white guy, Kennedy, and the old white guy was barely alive, and now they're trying to cover their ass with these books.
Yeah, the old white guy was a magnet for the old white sheet. They knew at any moment, and Kamala, of course, is like, oh my God, let's ride motorcycles with no helmet. We should set up a high wire in the Rose Garden.
Yeah.
I know how much you love animals, Mr. President, so I set up a petting zoo with cobras and black mambas. Just reach in there, real quick. No, I swear, it's sweet and low, just because it says arsenic. That's fun. No, but she knew the whole time. So Jake Tapper wrote his dumb book, like,
Yes.
Oh, well, you know, we were all shocked. I'm America's most trusted newsman after Brit Hume and Brett Baer.
and then you have this book that's like, you know, it's like the political establishment is to blame. I'm waiting for the real book that is the indictment of both institutions, the Democrat Party machine and also the legacy media, where they colluded together to try and sell this hoax. But people had been so burned by government through the pandemic, there was absolutely no way in hell they were going to buy it.
The book is out. It's called The Ratings Book.
Yeah.
And no one's watching any of these outlets. And it's also in the election book where they lost. So it's there.
Do you know what that is a strategy for the media to do these other books about them discovering it to distance themselves from their culpability. So they're saying like, oh my God, did you see this? Did you see this? It's news to us. That way you can't write the book about their culpability, but somebody will. Maybe it'll be me.
I mean, this is the way they snuck Kamala in there.
Yeah.
They knew from the start Kamala couldn't win the
Primary?
Yeah.
the primary. They knew she couldn't win the primary. So like, all right, let's sneak this white guy in there first that'll win it, and then bring her in. Because they knew he didn't have the cognitive ability to get through the whole thing. You know what I'm saying?
No, they elected him thinking that he had maybe a couple of years, and then when they saw what she was made of, they were like, kept pushing him through.
Yeah.
You know? It's amazing. It's like now you can't even make Weekend at Bernie's jokes because it's unfair to Weekend at Bernie's. It's like, no, he was better. Bernie was better. Is that the name of the corpse?
Bernie.
Bernie.
All right, I never saw the movie.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.